Good evening. Boy, when you're up here, you can't see a thing. So my story is about my family growing up and our secret from our vacationing while camping at Nickerson State Park. So my mother was a second grade teacher. My father was a fifth grade teacher. And we had 6 kids in the family, and we were students. We did go to school while growing up. And so that meant at the end of the school year, that meant that we were free. We as students, my parents as teachers, and it was time to go on vacation. So our favorite vacation was going camping at Nickerson State Park. So we would load up the car. Now this meant that we had a large car, a Plymouth Fury 3, if you remember those, a huge car, station wagon. That was 3 banks of seats. So that fit 3 in the front, 3 in the middle, and 3 in the back. I hope you did your math, because there's my mother and father and 6 kids, but I didn't tell you about my grandfather. So my grandfather lived with us, and we couldn't leave him behind because he was old and needed help. And he was going to come with us to Cape Cod, and he was going to get into a hotel and not camp with us. Gramps, we often called him Grumps, behind his back, and sometimes that was really close behind his back because he couldn't hear very well. So he insisted on coming. So we loaded up the car, and our car, the Fury 3, obviously fitting 9 people, couldn't, I forgot the dogs too, 2 dogs. We had, my father made this big rack. It was before the Thule things, and so he made this box that was hung on the car and sat on the car and tied down and everything. And it was, the Fury 3's probably got about 18 miles per gallon to begin with, and this rack, this box of wood, was not aerodynamic, and so we probably moved down to about 13 miles per gallon. So besides the passengers inside, and 9 of us probably needing pit stops, we also needed pit stops to just fill the car. So it took us a while to get up there. We had to take many rest stops, and you're probably thinking that the story would be about us leaving one of our children at the rest stop, but it is not that. That's an old story. Many people have that story, and we never left a child at a rest stop. We did leave a baby at a supermarket once, but that's a whole nother story. So we get up to Cape Cod, and we get across the bridges, and we find a hotel for my grandfather, and he was an old curmudgeon of a man from Ireland. It is St. Paddy's Day weekend, so we have to bring up the Ireland part. And so we brought him up to the front desk of the hotel, and he said, found out the price, and says, "I'm not staying at that. They're ripping us off. That's bloody murder. I'm not going to stay in that hotel and pay those prices. I'm going to go camping with you." So my mother reneges and said, "Okay, come camping with us." So we have to go and get another cot and sleeping bag someplace, and so we arrived at Nickerson State Park at the time that my parents really like to arrive at this time for setting up camp, usually at night and in the rain, and so we broke camp, and we had this big tent. Okay, big tent. It was one of those Sears tents. It was 3 rooms. It was a 6-person tent, perfect for 9 people. And so we set it up, and by the time we're done setting up, in the rain, flashlights, car lights, setting everything up, it's almost time for bed. So this year we also had a new innovation for camping. At the time it was a portable toilet. And you can probably anticipate what's going to come, and you are right. So it's a portable toilet, and it was a toilet seat with on a little stand, and it had a baggy type of thing, blue, of course, that was hung below the seat by a giant rubber band. So. That way, people didn't have to unzip the tent and zip it down again, going out to the bathroom through the night. Everybody could just take care of themselves there. So the night passes. Everybody sleeps pretty well, as far as I knew. And as is true with camping, the next morning it's sunny. Birds are chirping. You're waking up a little bit earlier than you normally would because it's brighter and birds are chirping. And so some of us are just halfway awake, and we hear this sound that's not quite like a bird chirping. It's more like a, you know. And so some of us, you know, one eye open, we say, what is that? And then we hear, and then, kapoosh. And I go, oh no. So I told you that was coming. You didn't have to, you know, and you weren't there to clean it up. So it's, you know, and I'm a pediatrician. I talk about pee and poop every day, so it's not a big deal for me. And to top it off, that is not the family secret, because for sure the 6 kids, when we got back to our friends in our neighborhood, said, guess what? We went camping and our toilet exploded. So it was not a secret. So the big problem with this accident is that my grandfather's Irish cap happened to be floating down this river of pee. So those of us who woke up and saw this situation, we went into red alert, and my mother and I think my younger brother and I, we grabbed towels, mopped things up, grabbed the cap, and my mom says, let's go to the laundromat before everybody else gets up. For some reason, my mother always knew wherever we went vacationing where a laundromat was and where a hospital was. I magically knew that. So we went to the laundromat. We rushed there, and we did the laundry, cleaned things up, cleaned his cap. And when we went to got donuts, because that was the ruse that we went out for donuts. So we come back and people are up at the campsite, and they're my father's making breakfast, wondering where we went with the car. So we come back and we get out of the car with donuts, and my grandmother says, Mary Ellen, I can't find my cap. Right away, first thing out of his mouth. And so I went to the car and said, Gramps, it's right here. You left it in the car. I said, I didn't leave it in the car. Yeah, it's right here. It's right here. And he takes the cap and he inspects it and says, yeah, this is my cap. He smells it. It says, it smells really good. You know, and he puts it on. It's fitting good too. I don't know why that is. We said, Gramps, it's the camping air. It's Nickerson State Park. This is the beauty of camping. Your cap smells better. It fits better. Everything's wonderful. And he bought it, and he was very happy at breakfast with the cap on. To the day he died, he never knew that his cap was floating down a river of pee. And that was our family secret.